live.
And we're live. Oh, hey.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
That was abrupt.
Didn't see you there.
We didn't do a sound check. We haven't done. And producer Matt's back after 1 week off, and look what happened.
Yeah,
No
I
sound
know.
check.
Everything's different.
He's going
but
in.
I like it.
I don't know what to do with my arms right now.
Yeah, it's weird that
Does
I'm
it-
not looking at you
What do I
straight
do
away.
with my hands?
Yeah, I know.
I want to do this right now.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm-
talking this way, but when I turn like this, I'm actually turned so it looks
So-
like I'm like looking at Dan right now. Like
Yes, you are like the floating head of authority.
if I do want to talk to you, Justin, I'm gonna have to go like this and talk to you.
But we can.
I
we
think
can.
this looks a little
But
bit
we can
better.
also go like this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
that
Matt.
is true.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So whenever Matt talks, we have to go like this. Thoughtful.
I like it though. This setup's really good. I like what you guys did on it. So
Well, you did the.
Well,
this-
I did the setup, yeah, but the behind the scenes is totally different.
Producer Dan did his best last week. Stepped up. Tried to get the and special shout out to Matei for helping me with about 47 seconds of notice to
Yeah.
get graphics put together for the
Yeah.
stream. But yeah, it worked out well, and we're glad to have you back,
Yeah.
Producer Matt.
Thank you.
I
Glad to
really
be back.
honestly don't know what to do with my elbows right now. I'm kind of in a weird place right at this very moment.
Okay. We'll get used to it.
I
We'll
get
get
used to it.
It's okay.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
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 I like
Justin-
that mug on the table that you have.
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Coast to Coast Coffee?
Wow.
What
Canada's
is Coast to Coast Coffee, Dan?
It's Canada's local roaster.
There you go.
Ding.
Wow.
Little bit of a plug there for our friend Matt from Coast to Coast Coffee.
Yep.
We have what? We have 3 subscriptions now because we keep going through the
Yeah,
coffee
we
so
have
fast.
mine, we have yours, and then you have yours again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just
The
can't get
coffee's
enough.
really good.
It is
Just
really
can't get
excellent.
enough, you know, so just
Excellent.
can't get enough.
All right.
Okay, enough.
Let's try to focus here.
Mm-hmm.
So this week we are going to talk obviously what's new and what's working. We're going to do something a little bit different. There was an interesting article that came across, and a couple of them actually talking about agency burnout,
Yep.
which is a real deal, and things that you can do to combat burnout and strategies you can use. So stay tuned for that one. I think that's going to be a good one to,
Yep.
to come
sure.
to go over how to
Absolutely.
maintain sanity in agency life.
For sure. Cool.
All right, so let's just dive right on
Alrighty,
in.
so we're gonna dive right in here. The first article that we're gonna be talking about this week is Facebook News. It's launching very very shortly. However, the news tab's not going to include ads, but publishers will still be able to monetize the content that they're putting onto the site. Now, I don't know. A lot of people are saying that this is going to flop just because like people can't trust Facebook News anymore after what happened. That's kind of what catapulted the whole kind of fake news and things like that, right? So it'll be very interesting to see how the launch goes. But for the most part, advertisers like hoping to kind of get an ad in there, ad placements or anything like that, will have to look elsewhere.
Zuckerberg had a unfortunate testimony in front of Congress this week.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that, but I think it's going to be a struggle for Facebook to gain that trust and legitimacy back.
Yeah.
In people's eyes, looking at it as a news source.
For sure.
I found this one. I did find this one kind of odd because, at F8, which is their conference, their yearly conference, they talked about moving away from Facebook as the town hall
Yeah.
and more of the living room where you would be able to, kind of have more private conversations. I feel like it's maybe a little bit more of a revenue grab because you have Apple
bit.
News, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You got Flipboard. Google
Yeah.
obviously has their news plastered all over the Google app on mobile.
Yeah.
So, TBD in terms of it being an outlet to potentially advertise on and for revenue, it'll probably do okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it said they're not allowing ads on it, right?
No, they're not allowing ads.
Yeah.
No,
They're not
but
allowing
they're-
ads
but
on
no,
it?
No, you're
Which
not.
I
Okay.
actually think is like a more trustworthy.
Well, that's
thing.
why they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because they know that it's a lot of people aren't going to be trusting it. It's going to be, but people are still going to be able to gain revenue from it. It says
People
here.
have
So
make money off
publishers
it.
will
Yeah,
make
yeah.
will make money.
Yeah,
They have
for
to make
sure.
money somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to be a great way to kind of distribute content and things like that for sure. But again, I think people are just going to have to be careful with the whole fake news thing and watching where it is. I think
they're going to clamp down on those publishers pretty hard.
Oh,
I mean,
100%, yeah.
I don't think
And they should.
Red State and some of those others is that, they walk the line of journalism to opinion to blog.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. I have a feeling it's going to have something to do with, the type of journalistic ethics they abide by. Who knows? Kind of TBD, right?
Yeah. Do you think it'll help like in PR, like with public relations, any kind of like news that way?
Yeah, I think like it will definitely make it more ethical for sure. I think we'll see a little bit more kind of strict policies. So I don't think anyone can kind of throw it like either like a PR story or a PR spin. I think it's gonna have to be vetted, and I don't know. I have no clue how it works yet. I haven't dove in or anything, so we'll have to do a deep dive once it's live and kind of go through, because I think it'll be a great content strat, like a way to distribute your content, and I think it'll be really great for PR strategies. I think you can get kind of creative with them, but
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
Yeah,
We'll have to see.
for sure. I look so ultimately awkward on this one because I really feel like I'm
You're just gonna have to get
not in
used
my
to it.
comfortable zone.
I know,
right now.
I know.
I had it all worked out where my double chin wasn't showing. Going for the slimming effect.
you do not have one.
Thank you. I kind of do.
Hannah says maybe they should start a fake news channel. I don't
Anyway.
think anyone would go on.
Here we go.
That's pretty much the Onion.
Yeah,
It is pretty much. It
or
is true. It is
B.E.R.T.
pretty much the
Yeah.
onion.
Cool.
All right, I'm finally getting to the agenda here. Sorry.
No, that's okay. The next one we're going to be talking about is kind of a deep dive into the holiday shopping season. It's right around the corner. Usually starts around American Thanksgiving. So right here, Deloitte did a survey of more than 4,000 customers in the U.S., and it kind of breaks down some cool statistics that we can expect for this year. Kind of going right off this top. So retailers can expect customers to spend roughly $1,500 this holiday season, according to this survey. And this was done in September, so it's actually really recent. And in the past, kind of more people have shopped online, but offline still dominates the market right now. 2 points up from 59% of holiday shopping this year was done online, and in-store spending will be a flat 36%. Now, I do have some cool graphs here that they do show, and it's kind of shows the percentage of spend online versus in-store. So you can kind of see online, the average spend is quite a bit higher than the average indoor spend.
Yeah.
You can see here.
We'll
I don't know if you guys have
No, we
this or not.
can't.
No, you guys can't see
So
this,
we can't
right?
I
see?
remember
Yeah.
seeing the graph when I read the article.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see it in a second here. As soon as I get this back up. Courtney's saying, people who sincerely share, yes, the Onion articles, not realizing it is satire, have a special place in my heart.
There's a
Yeah, they
subreddit
do.
dedicated to that.
Yes.
It's called Ate the Onion.
Yes, that is always something very special. Or anybody
Yeah.
that misses sarcasm online generally
Yeah,
makes
B.E.R.T.
amuses me.
or all those.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There we go. Right, here we go. I'm getting there.
I moved it, so yeah.
That's
But
okay.
It's kind of just kind of shows these clips. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
Yep.
about you guys, but I did all my Christmas shopping last year online.
Always,
Yeah.
Yeah.
always have.
Yeah.
Well, at least in recent memory.
Oh, we don't
Yeah.
want to go to the malls. Like,
No.
forget that, man.
No.
And it comes so fast still. Like
Yeah.
it's like a busy season, but it
Yeah.
comes like the next day and you're like, oh my God.
Yep.
I think the last few years, what we've done is we've gotten all of our shopping done in November
Yeah.
on Amazon, and
Yeah.
then you beat the rush. You have lots of time.
Yeah.
If you need something and it's for some reason late,
Yeah.
then you're good to go,
It
right?
also kind of
Yeah.
breaks down the holiday traffic periods. So around November 16th to 30th, it's around 64% people start. 44% of people start at the beginning of November. So that's quite a significant chunk.
Yeah.
69 December 1st to the 15th. So there's definitely an opportunity right now to get a hold of these early shoppers. And they're even saying that people are starting to move a little bit more. They're starting to shop early and earlier than ever before.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I've already seen commercials for Christmas shopping and stuff on like TV and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So people are like noticing and they are starting to advertise sooner because it is easier online, right? So they're like, okay, like I'll get it done sooner. Like,
Well, yeah, and from a marketer's perspective, especially if you're on the e-commerce side, Cyber Monday really has now a Cyber Week, right? It
Yeah.
used to be a day, now it's really a week.
And it's eclipsed Black Friday in some cases, right? It's
Black Friday
pretty
is usually the
significant.
whole weekend.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, if you're looking at your final quarter in terms of e-commerce sales and even if your services as well,
Yep.
really start to look at this holiday shopping periods by traffic visual, which has 64% period from the 16th to the 30th of November.
Yeah.
Right. That's typically, I mean, traditionally when you were in retail, you would start in December, but now it's really like go time on Black Friday, Cyber Week Monday,
Yep.
and then have a schedule put together so you're able to take advantage of this type of holiday shopping traffic. So what we are doing is creating bi-weekly schedules, right? Being able to test a campaign, then adjust it, pivot it, then launch another one, and see, you can start to overlap them through into the main peak time, which is really, the first 2 weeks of December.
Yeah.
At which point then, I mean, if you're going to get that obviously 16th to the 23rd, 24th traffic.
Yep.
But if you're online and unless you're Amazon, you're going to peak out at a certain point depending on your shipping provider.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
They're gonna get backlogged at a certain point. So now is the time, next week being the final week of October, to really start looking at, early to mid-November for all of your different campaigns to get that started.
For sure. One last little tidbit in here is they say 70% of people will be shopping on their phones this holiday season. 70% saying that they plan to shop and buy on their mobile devices. However, the majority of e-commerce transactions will still take place on PC. But still 70% of people saying that they plan on shopping, with some major purchases still done on PC. I mean, it just shows you that you want to make sure that you mobile optimize all your pages and things like that, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that's always been a goal.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, every year it's going to, the comfort level for people. And I think that's one of the reasons that Amazon is so popular is I know on my Amazon app that I can make a purchase and I'm protected versus, going to an individual site.
Yeah.
But if you've got a Shopify store, for example, implementing things like the live chat to make people feel reassured about your store, being there, being present is a really important, critical, key aspect there to help them through that customer journey.
Yeah,
right.
They are probably going to be asking questions.
Well, and you don't want to lose out to an Amazon because I go to your store, I'm not 100% sure, will it ship in time? Especially if you're a smaller store. Will I ship in time? Will I be able to do any of these things? And from a marketing perspective is to reinforce things of use of things like live chat, being there and being present to capture every single person. And look, if you're a small business, you could potentially do it yourself too, but you can also hire interns to help you with that, to help kind of man the live chat itself. Yeah.
And moderate it really well.
For sure.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Cool. Next story for this week. Google has another major search algorithm update. This one's called BERT. And it's meant to kind of allow Google to understand the context of language a little bit better. And kind of, it says, Google said BERT helps to better understand the nuance and context of words and searches, better match those queries with more relevant results. So I do have some kind of searches, some screenshots here.
What was interesting about what they said in the article was before Google totally ignored the word to. And now that it's with this new algorithm, they're actually including it because it is really effective in the English language that I want this to do this, or I want, you know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting that they're finally realizing their algorithm isn't noticing these things, and that's actually an issue. So grabbing these small words and understanding that it's an effectiveness in the English language will make things way easier for search.
From the SEO perspective, I think especially with RankBrain, which has been around for about 5-ish years, a lot of things in terms of the history of a search engine were concessions. They didn't want to necessarily remove the use of noise words because the connective words can have a huge impact on the context or the semantics of what's being spoken. But what's happening with Google, this is a kind of two-pronged approach that's happening. One is they're able to do it because you need a natural language processing, and this is using a neural network, which is just a type of AI that is able to adapt and to provide decent results. The thing is, and you know, the notion that it's 1 in 10 searches is quite likely very intentional. Skynet needs to learn before it sends the robot overlords. So that AI neural network, BERT, we'll just call it BERT, is in a learning phase. So it needs to consume more to understand the context before they can start to increase it. But there's an exponential backswing to that. So as it learns, it will then exponentially be able to serve up more search results.
Yeah.
For sure.
The robot overlords are coming.
They're right around the corner. They're already here.
Exactly. This is... Dan, you really do have body position challenges. Well, what? Do I look that awkward, I guess?
No.
Hannah. Thanks for the shade. I needed that on a Friday afternoon. That's so very good. From an SEO perspective, I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is that this is a substantial change to the algorithm, right?
You can't really rank for it or anything like that. No. It's
you
or optimize. For it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you do the fundamental thing in the Google Raiders Guide. The Google Raiders Guide is a way to start to craft your strategy. It's not a guide to search engine search engine optimization, because there's a lot of other things that go into it. But as a fundamental framework on how you should be looking at your content, many big things have just changed. Yeah. Right? So if you're not familiar with the Google Quality Raiders Guide, it is a guide that Google puts out, and invariably it gets out, and I don't think Google really cares that much, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of human Google quality raters, and they are adjusting on the algorithm to rank and rate sites as well. Yeah. And they use this guide to determine what is or what is not a quality site. So they help augment the algorithm. And what you have the opportunity to do by reading that guide, if you're in the marketing industry, is to understand things like EAT framework, understand what authority looks like. So for example, one of the things that changed, and these are like two big changes that have happened in fairly short order for search engine optimization, which is number one, you know, the sites that Google used to rank would be like literally like Peabody Award winning and Pulitzer Prize award winning outlets. That was literally in their Raiders Guide. And in the latest version, they removed that and removed the importance, saying that there are quality sites that may not have won a Pulitzer Prize. Yeah. They're really changing a lot. The other thing about BERT as well is this will tie very closely into Google Assistant voice search.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. This is where the natural, that's why the NLP is so important, natural language, because when someone is actually speaking to Google.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. I didn't think about that. That's actually really good.
Yeah. So they're prepping and preparing for this next wave and onslaught of how people are going to interact with the search engine. Yep. And that's going to be voice search, right? That is going to be the thing that it is. Yeah. So I think the first and most important thing is to watch your search engine traffic, keep an eye on your rankings, look at any changes that are coming down the pipe by looking at the patterns that are coming into your website, and make adjustments. The other thing that's important here in this particular post, I mean, this isn't a very deep post, it's very thin on search engine land. Your how-to content and your readability. So where how-to content may have been not as well structured, you should really focus on looking at how you can optimize that experience, not only by doing the numbered lists and doing things like Fixia does, and there's a bunch of different sites that do it really well, right? Instructables and WikiHow and these sites. Those are good places to look for their structure because they have a very good structure, but to also put it in the context of types of questions people would answer, right? Use those as examples, things like that. So there's a lot under the, this was big news in the search engine world, I guess. But it is actually much bigger than I think it appears. Yeah. Right? So it's definitely something to keep an eye on and keep watching.
Do you think that's going to affect like keywords?
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah. So do you think you're gonna start adding like B or like to and that kind of stuff to your keywords as well?
Well, I think what it is that in terms of keywords, there are formulas that you could devise, which are the question-based searches and the how-to-based searches and things like that. But I think what you want to do is also factor in human language style sentences into things like your title and into the copy, right? So that you're not it's going to go a long way to eliminate really trashy style content that you'll see out there.
Yeah.
That's another ongoing goal of Google's, is to kind of constantly this never-ending fight against spam, right? And even low quality content, right? So it's gonna, what I'm predicting will happen is that the more human readable, higher quality content that does speak in a human voice, that speaks, for example, like one of the things that we do here, or I do a lot, and I know Matt does it a lot, is when we write copy, we read it out loud. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but it makes a huge difference when you read it out loud. And you just read what you wrote, and you may go, oh, that doesn't sound right, or that sounds right. That's the type of process that I would suggest going through. It's a very simple thing to do, but I think, it's going to affect how you... The question-based and how-to-based searches have already affected how you to look at, keywords. They're really key phrases is the most important thing to think. Another good reason for that, for people that may, be new to search engine optimization, is long-tail search or question-based keywords or how-to-based keywords. As a sum, they add up to a lot more than the single word. Right? So if you were to say everything about NFL football, for example, and there are thousands of questions that you have about, what is the quarterback position in the NFL? Who is the quarterback for the New England Patriots? Blah, 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 all those. Those add up to a much larger number than the total volume for NFL football. Secondarily, your searchers have a much higher level of intent. You'll get a much better conversion rate from someone looking for a specific how-to, right? Then you will see your conversion rates will go up. So overall for search, it's better to appeal to those, because you will then become an authority and trusted in Google's eyes, because they do track click-through rate and then time spent on page, right? Google Search Console and Google Analytics know everything about your site. So they're going to say, hey, if Justin's site is getting a time on page of 3 minutes and 42 seconds and then another no bounce or very low bounce rate versus Dan's site that's getting 10 seconds on site and a bounce, overall, the algorithm is taking all of that into account. Right? For sure. So, Alex Maxwell is watching. Hello, Alex.
Hey, Alex.
Hey.
How's life in the big smoke, you fancy executive, you? All us little people are still here in the country. Courtney saying, actually, it's a really good thing for content creators because you aren't forced into a box lacking in color and personality.
It's true.
It's true. It is true.
It'll notice more if you're like a really good writer.
Well, and if you, not to say that these are necessarily the world's best sites in terms of content, but I think they're quite good. Like Backlinko, that site, Brian Dean's site, his guides are really well written. Neil Patel, whatever you may, people have harsh opinions, kind of like a Gary Vaynerchuk style on what he's saying. But I think his writing style is quite personable. And he's managed to turn that into a brand voice as well. That personality that goes along with that content is also, really super important for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Holy smokes, it's 4:56.
I know.
Look at us go.
Moving on. This is kind of just a little quick tidbit that I found that I thought was kind of a really cool and quirky campaign. Miller Lite, they're bringing back their old slogan, "It's Miller Time." But right now, they're doing something where they're asking everyone to unfollow them on social media. And all of their pages are going dark. So it's kind of a nod to like how serious they are about this message. And apparently Miller Lite is giving away free beer to 118,000 people, the number of the brand's Instagram followers. So whoever unfollows them, who's already been following them, apparently gets free beer. That's going to be quite a lot of beer that they're giving away. But this is kind of a snapshot of their their social. So everything is kind of going dark. This number keeps dropping. And this is right now the only tweet that I believe that they have on their page is just their kind of light beer. And the main messaging of their campaign is a few friends are better than a few thousand followers. We're going dark on social. See you IRL. It's kind of cool. But I think they kind of ripped this from Fortnite Chapter 2. When Fortnite Chapter 2 was I think Fortnite did something like this first where they turned all of their social media black, and they did this whole like Fortnite's going away, it's done, and everyone lost their minds.
If you don't have a teenage or any kind of child that plays Fortnite, that was actually genius on Fortnite's part.
That was really good. A lot of people fell for it. I'm like,
the best-selling video game in history is not going to be turned off. No. It was okay. So let's just talk about Fortnite quickly because I think that's worth a discussion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's a great intersection of marketing, social, pulling a prank on your audience. I don't know how people fell for this.
Yeah.
But they literally had live streams watching this black hole. So here's what happened. Yeah. Fortnite from Chapter 1 to Chapter 2 required a massive server infrastructure upgrade in order to support all of the new things that they added into the game. So for those of you that are not aware, Fortnite is a King of the Hill style
battle
royale. Sorry, that was a brain fart. It's a battle royale shooter where the map increasingly as time goes on gets smaller and smaller, and it's incredibly popular, obviously, as you know. But the thing with the game is that they added it to Chapter 2 the ability to interact with the world more deeply. For example, you can go fishing. And you can actually find loot and get rewards by doing things like going
pick people
fishing.
Up, things like that.
Yeah, there's a whole ton of features that were upgraded.
It's more like Minecraft now.
Yeah. when like World of Warcraft updates or they release something, it's like 4 days of pain for every single user, right? That gets kicked out because these are massive server infrastructures.
Oh yeah.
Anyways, what Fortnite did was a black hole. They sucked everything up into it in the game, and it literally sat there for 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, they had that up there for, I think it was about 3 days.
Yeah.
And they had tens of thousands of people watching that video.
Concurrent live.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of people watching. Yeah. Nothing but a black hole circling on the screen for 3 days. Because so what they were doing though in the background was they were replacing the server infrastructure, giving themselves time so that when they did launch Chapter 2, it would be 100% smooth.
Yeah.
This is billions of dollars to this company, right? So it was a genius use of marketing
to give them time.
To give them time to do a proper server upgrade.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when they did open it up, there was a massive land rush into Fortnite. It was a 8 or 9 gigabyte update. It was basically replacing the entire game.
Yeah. And from what I see, like in video game, like in the industry, like having a really bad launch of anything can either make or break your game.
Yeah.
Like that's the number one thing. And this, like you said, this is really smart by them because it allows them to have a smooth launch, which in today's day and age in the gaming industry rarely happens at all. Yeah. And when it does, it does, like when you don't launch your game properly, it's just wildfire on social media, and it's like it's a PR crisis, really.
So what they did was they turned a potential crisis into a stunt.
Yep.
And they literally had, they were throwing shade via tweets, and then they shut up completely. They were driving their user base nuts.
Yeah.
But nuts with anticipation. And when they went live, it was a very smooth update. Yep. And everybody was in there right away.
Yep.
So what happens is in these games, not to get too diverted here because we will circle back to Miller Lite, is the fact that users go for the newest features, right? They're going to check out the map. They're not going to start in a battle royale, for example, immediately and jump into the gameplay. They're going to go check out, literally, they're going to go check out going fishing.
Yeah.
Right? Which is how you can get free loot and prizes. That one specific thing, if it overloads the servers, can take down the server.
Yeah.
Right? So they were able to do this concurrently, but from a marketing perspective, it was absolutely genius.
Yeah.
Because it was simple. They didn't have to do anything. And I mean, they got press coverage everywhere.
Plus all the influencers that they have in their pocket too. It's just It went crazy.
Yeah.
It was #1 trending on Twitter worldwide, I think.
I'm pretty sure that every day on every major news network, they were covering the fact that Fortnite is still not live. And even though the anchors would say, I don't even know what Fortnite is necessarily.
Lady Gaga even tweeted. Lady Gaga tweeted, "What's a fortnight?" But she spelt it like Fortnite. Like
yes,
yeah,
that
was funny.
pretty sure she was joking.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it lit up. And now, so to move over to Miller Lite, this is 1,000% obviously it's a stunt, right? They're trying to get a rebrand, right? They're bringing back It's Miller Time. They want to get that rebrand, which is fine. The whole unfollow thing, I mean, you know, the article, I think, Marketing Dive, I believe. Yep. Doesn't seem to latch on to the idea that they're not going to leave. They're like, risky move. It's not risky. They're Miller.
Yeah.
They're a massive international established brand, right? They just have to turn back on again and say, it's Miller Time.
Yeah.
Like, do you not see from a marketing perspective, if you remember the Miller, like what It's Miller Time is like work's done. The 80s and 70s commercials were like guys walking into a bar with their buddies and like, it's Miller Time. Very similar. They're going dark. They're rebranding. They're going to come back with something. And then boom, lights are on. It's Miller Time.
Yeah.
Seems obvious in a sense to me.
Yeah.
And I don't,
It's
I really.
It's a good move for like a big company like that. Like they know it's not going to affect anything. Like I don't even follow them on social and I drink Miller.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
So like stuff like that. It's not going to affect them. It's a good idea.
It's gonna get. It's getting them press. It's gonna get them some play.
Yeah.
They're gonna do that rebrand, and they're gonna come back with some like. It's gonna be like they're walking into the bar, going, "It's Miller Time."
Yeah.
Right, and we're back.
Yeah.
So yeah, refresh your audience and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't think it's on the genius level of what Fortnite and Epic did, but I don't think it's controversial or worrisome or challenging. I think it's an interesting spin on a campaign.
Yeah.
And it does show, you know, oftentimes in these large corporations, that would be impossible to get over the line with an executive team. You know what I mean? That they would say, no, we don't try to get people to unfollow us, right? So it takes a certain amount of marketing communications bravery to go there and be able to sell it through and actually, you know, make it real. So anyway, yeah, so it's like, you know, the last line on Marketing Dive is Miller is not the first brand to make such a risky move. Again, I don't think there's any risk associated with this at all.
No.
If I'm unfollowing you because you want me to, and I have a chance to win a prize,
Free beer.
then I am going to refollow you when you say, now follow us back.
Yeah.
If anything, they're coming out as it's almost like a confidence move.
Yeah.
Unfollow us, follow us, unfollow us, follow us.
Yeah.
And people are just pounding the button. I guess in one way, it does lead to kind of the ridiculousness in a sense of what social media is. Right?
Yeah.
Where people cringe about losing some audience. But
I'm wondering how they're tracking all these. Of how they're tracking like all the people that leave.
God bless
and
your
follow
social
them
media
before.
team. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because
That
there's
seems like a
tools
big
here, but they're
job.
very tedious.
Yeah.
At least the tools that I've seen.
Courtney's saying my dad used to literally come home and shout, "It's Miller Time" every Friday after work. I heard about the calendars your dad has in the garage too, Courtney. What?
I can only assume.
Okay, so just to wrap up, so we've got a few minutes left. That took longer than.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Let's
we
just
were
talk
gonna-
about what's working now.
So what's working, and this is interesting, is actually this burnout is real for marketing agents. I've seen like 3 articles this week, so I don't know if I missed a memo. 3 different articles about agency burnout
Yeah.
and that kind of thing.
I think it's just a busy time of year for agencies too.
I think that might have a lot to do with it.
Well, yeah, because especially right now.
Yeah.
in Q4, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just, you know, to quickly kind of go over, and I don't know if you guys have your own sanity management tasks. Justin, unfortunately, Justin had a rush project this week that would have melted a lot of people.
Yeah.
Calm and cool, no problem.
Yeah.
The one thing that I have always said for a long time, and I know it's hard if you're in any form of marketing, one of the things that's difficult is to learn how to say no.
Yeah.
Right? Marketers, by definition, want to do. So there's this overambitious, from a good place, desire to say yes. Right? Can we get a campaign out? Yes. When can we do it? Today. And then you're like, oh, geez. So one of the things, there's a couple of interesting tactics, and the one I liked out of this article, but one thing is being able to manage your stress and to manage your own sanity. Because in an agency, when we have 30 plus clients like we've got, right? One interruption is a domino effect, and it can go crazy. So really the one strategy is one, learning how to say no. And that's not to say like, no, we're not going to do it. You can start by using very simple tactics like yes, like starting with a positive affirmation and then questioning it. How effective will we be if we rush a campaign out? Having, the second thing is having timelines that you know, right? To be able, if someone says we need that tomorrow, you can question that and say, this usually will take us 5 working days to do a really good job to be able to ensure that everything's in order. That's one thing. The other thing that does come from this article that I really like when talking to a client, and again, it's not about saying no, it's about level setting people. Clients and even your team, if you're an in-house marketer, have no concept of how long something takes. Designers go through this always.
Always.
We literally always have people say to us, that could not possibly take that long. It does.
It does.
It does. It does. Launching a Google Ads campaign, right? An e-commerce campaign. There are so many minute details you have to take into account that it takes time. So if someone is asking you for something, you can say, yes, that's great. What should we take off of the list of our deliverables in order to replace that? Right? That's a good way of getting people to understand that the list just can't go up.
Oh, you got to stay in scope.
Right? And you can move things around, but there's 24 hours in a day. So pick something to not get finished, and we will get this one done. Right? And I think it's important because, over the years here, we've seen, we've had people with us that are great people that have left because of stress. Right? It's a grind. It's a tough business to be in. This is not for the faint of heart.
No.
Right? And so you have to, as part of your own career path, and anybody in marketing, I think, needs to do this, is to understand how to say no, how to prioritize, how to stay calm. And then lastly is if something does fall behind, is how to, and this will reduce your stress level, I think, is learning how to proactively inform a client or your team that there will be a delay before it's a delay. If that makes sense. That open level of communication that says, look, I know this is due in a couple of days. Here's the reasoning. Here's the projected deadline. I'll be able to get this to you. And if anything else comes up, I'll keep you in the loop. You would be surprised at how receptive 99% of the human race is when you do things like that.
Just being like, okay, I'm sorry, but this project has priority over this right now. I need to finish this first, and then I'll get going on. What you need to next. For me, it's a huge prioritizing. Like it's like, okay, this is, I need to get this done first. This is a bigger project. This has a shorter timeline, or like realizing that this is going to take a longer time or whatever. And it's a bigger project against like the little ones to like reduce stress.
I think that there's another good point in here, which we really work on here, which is don't look at the task, look at the outcome. It's really easy to get mired down in my task list, but typically task lists are a part of a bigger picture, right? Unless you're solo completely, you are going to be working with a team that will have deliverables from you. And we work a lot on this here, which is get the big picture and sometimes simplify, right? Like reduce down to make your life easier. We were just talking about this with one of our active campaigns we're running right now, which is we found some friction. So we want to remove the friction and simplify the process to increase the conversion rates. Well, quite often simpler is more effective, right? So don't be afraid to scale back how elaborate something is and simplify that as well. I think that's a really important thing. And again, looking at the outcome, maybe your task is not actually benefiting the final outcome.
Yeah.
And you should question that, and you should proactively. So, I think one of the things, and this is just for people in marketing to save their sanity from the burnout and the stress, is adapting that to your personal work style. It's a really important thing that everybody has their own personal work styles. And then there are processes, and those two things can work together.
Yep.
Right?
For sure.
So you don't feel like you're conforming into, like something you don't want to do or in a way you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But again, I think to thrive in this type of an industry, it takes a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
How I need to work in order, right? The people that are successful in marketing, I think, do that. And in any deadline-driven, high-pressure scenario, right? Is to really conform that to your style and adapt it to looking at the big picture. And then the one last thing is, and I think this is good. This is not from this article, but it was a quote that I had read from a project manager talking about project management systems. Right? We use Basecamp, and sometimes if you had talked to PMPs, professional people, certified project managers, they may snicker. Basecamp. But the one quote that I heard, so Jira is much more rigid for software development typically, but for all sorts, it's a much more elaborate project management system. It's got everything in there. And the quote is I've seen Jira absolutely mismanaged, and I've seen Basecamp absolutely perfectly managed to achieve the goal of the outcome of the project. Right? So using your project management tools to the benefit of how your team flexes and works, as opposed to necessarily trying to headlock everybody into a certain way of using the project management tool, right? One example here, to reduce stress and reduce friction, and this will be like the last one since we're quite a bit over. It's 5:15 and people are still...
It's not bad. We're like 42 minutes. We started a little bit late, so hey, we're on time.
One of the things that can cause stress is miscommunication or lack of communication or siloing, right? And I would hope that every time it's unintentional. It's not intentional, but people forget to CC people on a thread. Email's terrible for that. People don't forward emails, right? These things, they happen, but they cause huge issues at certain points. So one of the things we did with Basecamp was putting campaign updates and client updates into the Basecamp message board feature, and then interacting with the client on that feature. And the nice thing is every time there's a comment or an update, it sends an email. So they're acting as if they're in an email thread, except everybody on the team has visibility to the entire history of the conversation. Right? Simple. It's not any different in a sense, because once the thread starts, you could potentially just be doing all email, right? But having that visibility makes the client feel better, that everybody knows what's going on. If Justin has to walk into a project, he can go back and read the last that actually happened to us today. Mateo was pulled in on a thread, and he was able to just go back and look, and then he was able to just get it done. Right? So I think that communication and having that level of making the project management software work for you rather than you working for the project management software.
For sure.
Right? So does anybody else would you drink green tea? Have a gummy?
Yeah, lots of yoga.
Have a gummy.
Gummies? Yeah.
No. CBDs?
Yeah, CBD gummies. Stay at peace.
I think, for me, it's just taking it one step at a time and prioritizing things. I mean, obviously one thing has rank over the other. And if it's something really small, you can just kind of put it to the side. But I think communication with the client's key, making sure that they know what's going on and kind of explaining to them, like, this is why I'm prioritizing this, and this is why I think that this can wait, and just being level-headed and honest with them is most of the time it works for me.
Yeah, especially as a designer, as soon as you get overthinking, as soon as you get stressed, that's when everything shuts down.
And
so
I think
it's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, and I think when a client is feeling stressed or a client is feeling kind of under pressure too, because sometimes the clients feel just as pressured as we do, right? I think it's just kind of talking them through it and be like, okay, like, look, we have this on the go right now, and this is going to achieve X, and, you know, just kind of walking them through it.
Yeah.
That's the way I do work.
Absolutely. And organization is key. You know, it's feeling organized, being organized. It's kind of like getting your personal finances in order and having your taxes done on time.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the most enjoyable thing in the world to be doing, but the outcome, which is the most important thing, is what feels good. If you have your taxes done early and you're getting a tax return, right? Come April, you're feeling probably pretty solid.
Yes.
As opposed to running up to the last minute and stressing out and all that. So, anyways, if you've got any personal de-stressing tips, throw them down in the comments. I'm sure that would get people would appreciate that. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. No, sorry, that's the wrong
Join
channel.
the notifications.
Actually, we should. It's not the wrong channel. We actually have it on YouTube. So you should like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you get updated every time we go live.
Yes.
There you go.
You like that?
I love it.
Good? That was good.
That was really
I
good.
do a lot of streaming on YouTube these days. If you have a chance to check out Rec Room Games, and I am that gamer dad.
Nice.
That is my kids gamer channel alter ego parental voice.
Nice.
Yes. All right, everybody. Well, have a great weekend.
Yep.
Have a great weekend, folks, and we will see you for episode 102.
102.
Wow.
Peace.
Yeah.